Sergeant, Sergeant Daniel Collins, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. And Judson Victoria Cross Platoon will be led by 2nd Lieutenant Campbell Caird, Royal New Zealand Army Medical Corps, accompanied by his platoon sergeant, Sergeant Samuel Shikowski, Royal New Zealand Army Logistic Regiment. Recruit Territorial Force, Course 164 began on the 13th of November 2019. Once attested in the New Zealand Army, recruits were placed into 3 platoons, each one named after a New Zealand Victoria Cross recipients. From your left, they are Sapper Cyril Bassett, Victoria Cross Platoon, Sergeant Alfred Holm, Victoria Cross Platoon, and Sergeant Reginald Judson, Victoria Cross Platoon. Of the 93 recruits who commenced the course in July 2019, 79 are marching out today. They represent a total of 5 different Army Corps. As represented on the parade ground, they are, from left to right, the Royal New Zealand Artillery, Royal New Zealand Armoured Corps, Royal New Zealand Engineers, the Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment, and the Royal New Zealand Logistic Regiment. This afternoon parade is the culmination of a demanding 7-week course. The recruits participated in 2 separate field exercises, spending a total of 12 days living in the field. They have learned skills that have enabled them to work and live outdoors in very challenging environments, something that Waiouru has a reputation for, and we can assure you that near zero temperatures and long hot days have greeted all recruits during this course. The recruits were taught battlecraft, navigation, first aid and fieldcraft, the skills necessary to operate as part of a combat team. 3 exercises were conducted, exposing the recruits to operating in the bush, learning bushcraft skills, operating in the urban environment, and conventional open country exercise, having them conduct core soldier skills by both day and night. In addition to field and battlecraft, foot and rifle drill is taught progressively throughout the course, culminating in today's parade. Other aspects of training throughout the 7-week course included leadership. The recruits have been taught to allocate time and prioritise effort to complete assigned tasks. Recruits are expected to demonstrate supportive behaviour towards colleagues and team members, control emotion and self-manage themselves. Weapons training and shooting. Recruits are introduced to the New Zealand Army's new individual combat weapon, the Modular Assault Rifle System Light, better known as the Mars-L. This is the weapon they are parading with today. In all, they have learned how to use 5 different weapon systems. For each system, the recruits were required to qualify on a live firing practice on a purpose-built range. Physical training. Generally speaking, the entry fitness level of recruits on enlistment is well below where it needs to be. Recruits during the course are given the required build-up training that enables them to qualify on the Army's physical fitness tests. Our Army is also fortunate to have its own marae, a place where we can share and develop our cultural identity. As part of the indoctrination process, recruits are welcomed onto the marae immediately after attestation. In summary, the 7-week course has given the recruits the fundamental skills to enable them to take their place as team members within a chosen trade in the New Zealand Army. Ladies and gentlemen, You will now observe an infantry section come through to present a clearance patrol of the parade ground. The infantry section is a basic fighting unit and is comprised of a section commander, his second in command, and 6 private soldiers. The section will demonstrate various formations for tactical movement and are carrying the weapon systems and equipment that recruits have been trained to use throughout this course. The section has come onto the parade ground in arrowhead formation. The section has now gone to ground into all-round defence. The section is now demonstrating fire and movement off the parade ground, moving in pairs.
Contact front! Action! Open! Moving left to right! Section! Pedal stop! Section! Assault!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Parade Company Sergeant Major, Staff Sergeant Sam Selby, will now march on and call the markers and the company to the parade ground. To your front, the drill sergeant for Territorial Company, Corporal Sean Fabling, is marching on the company markers. Please make yourself comfortable and enjoy the graduation parade. In consideration for others, it is requested that phones are put on silent. Feel free to take photos, but please refrain from moving any further onto the parade ground than the grandstand. Thank you.
Markers! Over! Pack! Number 1 platoon marker, there first! Stand still. Marcus, steady. Marcus will advance into line. Attack. Standard. Peace. Division 2 will advance to the line! Left! Turn! On the right! On the right! On the right! Number 1 platoon, front rank, second man, just form, stay still. Front rank, steady. Number 1 platoon, center rank, second man, just back, stay still. Number 3 platoon, center rank, Harker, dress back, stay still, carry it on, stay still. Center rank, steady. Number 1 platoon, rear rank marker, respect, stay still. Carry it on! Number 2 platoon, rear rank marker, dress back, stay still, carry it with your company. Eyes! Front!
The Company Sergeant Major will now hand the parade to the Parade Commander.
All in, the officers! Quick, march! Officers and supernumeraries, advance! Good! With your company, stand at ace!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Commanding Officer of the Army Depot, Lieutenant Colonel Dean Durling, Royal New Zealand Artillery.
With your company, sharp! With your company, stand at ace!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Reviewing Officer, Colonel Bede Fahey.
With your company, sharp! With your company, General salute, please at arms! With your company, shoulder, arms! With your company, stand at ace!
Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Lionel Smith will say a prayer for the parade.
Andre, please say prayers.
Tēnā nei I nui tātou. E ana rea he kororia ki te atua, koromo ki te whenua, whakara pai ki tā tangata katoa. Loving God, today we pause and give you thanks for the graduates who recruit Territorial Force 164. We thank you for the skill and confidence gained by these who have chosen to bear up under the challenges set before them in the classroom, on the parade ground and on the field. Who have chosen to listen, learn and change. We thank you also for the care and instruction of the staff who have worked to establish the fundamentals of what it takes to be a soldier. These soldiers whose training and safety they've been responsible for. Today, as these young men and women leave Waiouru as soldiers to take up their duty, grant that they will always have the courage, commitment, comradeship and integrity to do what is right and to serve this nation with honour and continue the proud tradition of those who have gone before them. Kororea ki te mātua, ki te tama, ki te wairua tapu, mai e te timatanga, ki tēnei wā, a haere atu e. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the parade commander will now move forward and invite the reviewing officer to inspect the company.
With you, company! Company! Shut! Territorial Force 164, Prithia Company, ready for your inspection, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this inspection is a ceremonial one. It will be carried out by the reviewing officer, Colonel Bede Fahy, who will look into the eyes of each recruit on parade to see if he or she is fit and capable of carrying out their duties. In days when fighting had gone badly, the soldiers may have been well exhausted or even wounded. If the fighting had been successful, the soldiers may have well overindulged in rum and not been fit for duty. Ladies and gentlemen, we assure you that this afternoon none of the recruits are either wounded or suffering from an overindulgence of alcohol. You will see that the recruits are wearing a headdress referred to as the lemon squeezer hat. The lemon squeezer is one of 2 New Zealand Army felt hats. The contingents sent to the South African War were the first New Zealand troops to be issued with a felt hat called a slouch hat. It was a general issue to all troops of the Empire called for service in South Africa. The hat had a fore and aft dent in the crown and was worn with the brim turned and pinned up to the right-hand side. The change from the slouch hat to the lemon squeezer shape was first made during an annual camp at Takapau in 1911. There had been a spell of very wet weather and the hat collected water in the dents. Nowhere in Australia or the United Kingdom was this found to be a problem with the same hat. Lieutenant Colonel W.G. Malone, later of Gallipoli fame, at the time commanding the 11th Taranaki Rifles, whose badge was a facsimile of Mount Egmont, had the idea of eliminating the fore and aft dent in the crown and pinching it with 4 dents so the crown resembled the mountain badge and so shed the water. You will also notice that the officers on parade are wearing a leather belt referred to as the Sam Brown. It was invented by General Sir John Brown, who, as an Indian cavalry officer, lost an arm in battle. He devised a series of straps to secure the sword to the body so that it could be drawn with one arm only, not needing a second hand to hold the scabbard. The same belt was also used to carry a pistol holster. During the Boer War, the rig was copied by Imperial and Commonwealth troops and eventually became the standard issue. Today, the Sam Brown belt allows the sword to hang vertically with the hilt facing to the front and the pommel in line with the top of the sand brown belt. The sand brown belt is highly polished with the use of Kiwi Premium Parade Gloss. Today, swords are being carried by the officers and drill canes are being carried by the Company Sergeant Major and Drill Sergeant on parade. Swords were traditional weapon of the fighting man and have been through numerous changes throughout the ages, reaching their peak in technical design in the late 19th century, just as modern weaponry made them redundant. In modern times, the sword is a traditional badge of honour. In the New Zealand Army, the sword indicates a holder of Her Majesty the Queen's Commission or a warrant officer Class 1 holding a position of Regimental Sergeant Major on appropriate occasions, and it remains as an integral aspect of modern ceremonial activities. The origin of the drill cane or regimental stick is uncertain. Its most likely ancestor is the walking out stick that was popular in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The modern drill cane, if carried, is an indicator of rank and authority for senior non-commissioned officers and warrant officers. Its use is generally governed or even forbidden by the Regimental Sergeant Major. Ladies and gentlemen, Territorial Company will now march past the dais with Bassett Victoria Cross Platoon leading, having earned the right to lead the company as top platoon. The march past is used to display a unit's teamwork and discipline. The company will now advance closer to the dais in order for the reviewing officer to address.
Recruits Territorial Force 164, Territorial Company will advance in review order. By the right, Greg!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the general salute.
Territorial Company, General Salute, present, arms! Territorial Company, shoulder, arms! Territorial Company, stand at
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation of awards will now be conducted. Top Instructor. The Top Instructor Award is presented to the instructor who has displayed the highest level of leadership, instructional ability, professionalism, discipline, and section performance. For Recruit Territorial Force, Course 164, the award is presented to Juliet 102-9718, Corporal Sean Fabling, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. Top Shot. This award is presented to the recruit that achieves the highest score on the first attempt of the weapons qualification shoot. For Recruit Territorial Force, Course 164, the award is presented to November 106-1876, Private Daniel Holland, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. Top Recruit for each platoon. The Top Recruit certificate is awarded to the recruit from each platoon who has displayed the highest levels of achievement and potential throughout the course. From Bassett Victoria Cross Platoon, the award goes to Papa 106-1946, Private Simon Gasson, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. From Home Victoria Cross Platoon, the award goes to Hotel 1060997, Private Luke Jarvie, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. From Judson Victoria Cross Platoon, the award goes to Foxtrot 1060995, Daniel Morton Jones, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. Sergeant Major of the Army Award. The Sergeant Major of the Army Award is presented to the soldier who has consistently demonstrated and applied the New Zealand Army ethos and values and is willing to put their mates before themselves. The New Zealand Army ethos is based on loyal and honourable service, while the values demanded of every soldier are courage, commitment, comradeship and integrity. Presenting the award today is the Sergeant Major of the Army, Warrant Officer Class 1, Clive Douglas, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. Today, this award is presented to Victor 1061607, Private Evan Coote, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. This soldier will also be presented the Sergeant Major of the New Zealand Army coin. And lastly, top recruit for Recruit Territorial Force, Course 164, Territorial Company. This trophy is awarded to the recruit who has displayed a consistent effort in all areas of training, including weapon handling, fieldcraft, drill and physical training. This recruit also demonstrates leadership in both the field and garrison environment. Today, this award is presented to Hotel 106 0997, Private Luke Jarvie, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation of awards for Recruit Territorial Force, Course 164 Carithia Company. Ladies and gentlemen, the Reviewing Officer, Assistant Chief of Army Reserves, Colonel Bede Fahey, will now address the parade.
Ena reo, ena mana, na ngata awaka o na iwi katoa, guri noa o Aotearoa, tēnā koutou katoa. Commander, Training and Doctrine Command, Commanding Officer of the Army Depot, Sergeant Major of the Army, Mr. Douglas, other distinguished guests, graduating recruits, families, whānau, ladies and gentlemen. To those of you on parade today, I offer you my sincerest congratulations on the efforts that you have made and what you've achieved since you've been here at the Army Depot. For all of you, this has been an experience you will never forget, and one that will have an influence on what you achieve from this point forward. You have attempted and succeeded at things that a few short months ago you may not have believed you could have accomplished. You will know more about yourself, your strengths, the areas that you could further, and the way that you interrelate with others. You will have made some enduring friendships, and you may have seen others at their best and perhaps struggling when under pressure, and the lessons we draw from those experiences. You have developed a strong bond between you and have developed a natural mindset of team before self, going out of your way to ensure that you all get across the line together. You will have been introduced to and adopted some role models, and these examples will stand you in good stead in both your military and your civilian careers. There are qualities required to be a good soldier. The resilience to be able to handle pressure and bounce back. The professionalism exhibited by attitude, loyalty, and personal bearing. The technical skills required to operate equipment to a high standard. The physical fitness required to overcome fatigue and get the job done. The ability to work in a team and add value and cohesion, and the leadership ability to firstly lead yourself in the right direction and in time to assume responsibility to effectively lead others. These qualities are hard won and require application and continuing effort to maintain and build upon. And these are qualities that will stand you in good stead in every aspect of your lives. I just want to put where we've got to now in your military career into perspective. And I'll unashamedly use the quote of one of my great heroes, Winston Churchill, when he described the significance of the Allied victory at El Alamein, which was really the first Allied land victory over the Axis forces, when he observed and warned that this was not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end, but perhaps it's the end of the beginning. For you soldiers on parade, successful completion of recruit training is the end of the beginning of your military careers. It is not an end in itself. From here, I encourage you to go back and connect with your battalions or regiments. Make the commitment, be involved in the training that's available, and continue to develop and grow as a soldier so that you're ready to take on other responsibilities and progress further. For those units receiving these soldiers, please continue to turn your minds to creating the environment and opportunities that make that continuing commitment and involvement an easy decision for them to make. For all of us, the world continues to be an uncertain place, and one of the responsibilities that we have as a nation is to be able to develop and maintain effective military capability, not only to defend our own shores, but also to support our friends and allies when called upon to do so by our government. For you soldiers on parade, you are now part of that military capability, and you join a legacy of New Zealand part-time, a military service that spans over 100 years, exemplified by committed people, juggling competing work and family commitments, and offering themselves up for operational deployment or service at home in the service of New Zealand. Well done to all of you for your decision to make your contribution. I thank you for your commitment and wish you actually all the very best for the future. Before I close, I'd also like to acknowledge the hard work, dedication and professionalism of the Training Doctrine Command, the Army Depot, and in particular the staff of Territorial Company, which is the organisation that delivers Reserve Force recruit training. The team that has delivered the training for this intake comes mainly from the Reserve Force, and they give up their time and come together here at Waiouru, get prepared and then deliver this training. In fact, the officer commanding has come all the way back from Poland to contribute his part to this intake. They have all put in some huge hours and effort to make this happen and have achieved to a very high standard. Thank you for what you've done to create these soldiers on parade today. On a personal note, it's a great thrill for me today in that my youngest son is one of the graduating recruits, and he now is the fourth generation of my family that have served in the Territorial Force. And he and I today think of those men that have gone before us. In closing, to all the family, whānau, loved ones, thank you all for your attendance here today. Your support to those on parade, and thanks for letting us have them for a few weeks. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised when they get home at perhaps a newfound level of tidiness and the fact that there's a realisation that life is still possible without a smartphone in your hand. Thank you, and I know that you, as we are extremely proud of it. In closing, I'll leave you with a whakatauki that I think is appropriate to this occasion. E hara takutoa I te tahi takitahi, engari ko te toa takitini. It is not by my efforts alone that I succeed, but by the collective efforts of all those I rely upon. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, the soldiers on parade today will now conduct the New Zealand Army Haka, led by Private Cumaine Lloyd, Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment. The Assistant Chief of Army Reserves, Army Reserve Sergeant Major, and the Army Depot Command Team will now move forward to receive the haka. We ask that no one else moves forward.
The company will take up arms! Take up arms!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the departure of the reviewing officer.
Company, shoulder out!
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the departure of the Commanding Officer of the Army Depot, Lieutenant Colonel Dean Durling.
Prithee Company, stand at ace!
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The parade commander will now fall out the officers and hand the parade over to the Company Sergeant Major.
Fall out the officers! Quick, march! Move to the right, Richard. Company Sergeant Major, your parade! Officers move to the right file. Right, two. By the front, quick, march.
With your company, company, sharp! With your company, in close order, right, west! Eyes, front! With your company, will slope arm, slope, up! But the company will march off from the right in column of 3, Bassett B-16 leading. Leading. Move to the right in column of 3. Right! Turn! By the left! Quick!
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the graduation parade.